The Raid Round 2? Oh, hell yeah! Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I just got back from seeing Raid 2 Berandal. I hope that's how you pronounce it. So the story in the Raid 2 takes place after the events of the Raid Redemption, duh, and it follows our main character by the name of Rama, who now becomes an undercover cop and befriends the son of a really powerful crime boss, and he infiltrates his organization to learn who are the dirty cops that are on his side and to take down this criminal organization. Now you all know that I'm a huge fan of the first Raid movie. Hell, I actually bought the first Raid movie on DVD today after seeing the Raid 2 because I really wanted to see that movie again. It was just so much fun, non-stop entertainment. I loved it to death, and I still do to this day. So when I heard that they were making the Raid 2, I got really excited because I loved the first one, and I thought, you know what, maybe they'll bring even more action and maybe even more story here in the second one. And I gotta say, I enjoyed it. I didn't really love it as much as I did the first one, but I did enjoy the movie for what it was. Now, before you all jump the gun, I just want you to know that I was not disappointed by this movie. But I did have more problems with this movie than I did with the first Raid. First off, being that this is the sequel to The Raid, how is the action scenes in this movie? I really enjoyed all the action scenes in the movie. They were high octane, intense, and just all around fun to watch. And there are some creative action sequences in this movie. There is one where he is like in this bathroom stall, and I was just impressed at the camera work in this action scene. I mean, it was a really tight space. There's even another action scene that takes place in a car. Again, another tight space, and the camera work in there was fantastic. And speaking of the camera work, the cinematography and again camera work was done very well in this movie. In fact, it is an upgrade from the first. Whereas in the first movie, the camera work was really good and they focused on the action. The cinematography didn't leave much to the imagination. But here, there is a lot of good still shots. I mean, there are some scenes that looked gorgeous, especially this one scene where these two guys are sitting in a red room. My God, that looked beautiful. And to backtrack a little bit, there is this really epic fight scene at the end of the movie that was the best fight. It was really enthralling, exhilarating, just all around fun, and very gory. And lastly, I thought the acting was much better here than it was in the first movie. In fact, I would almost say that they have more competent actors here in the second movie than they did in the first, because in the first I felt like most of the actors got hired because they were good stuntsmen and they could do all the martial art choreography, whereas in this movie these people had acting chops. They brought a lot of drama to their performance, and I really appreciated that. But as much as I really appreciated the addition of competent actors here in the second movie, I also felt like that was one of the things that held this movie back. And now we get into the problems that I had with the film. The biggest problem that I had with this film was actually the story. I felt like the story was too overly complex for a movie like The Raid. I mean, what made the first Raid so great was that it was a simple story about a bunch of cops that raid an apartment complex to take out a drug lord at the top of the tower, and the mayhem that they got into and how they needed to get out of this terrible situation by any means necessary, even if they had to fight and kill their way out. That's what made it so entertaining and exhilarating. Whereas in this story, there are way too many things happening. It's really overly complex, where the main character becomes an undercover cop, then he had to go to jail, and he had to befriend the son of this really powerful crime boss, and he then works his way into that family, and then there's a side story dealing with the son feeling underappreciated by the father. Then there's this whole side story between the Japanese and the cops, and then there's another one where this guy with a cane, and it went all over the chart. It could have been just a simple linear story about this cop guy who joins this crime organization and has to take them down and figure out who are the bad guys in the cop division. But no, it just went all over the map. And I know the point of a sequel is to raise the stakes from the first movie, and they sort of do that here, but they could have done it in a much more simpler way. And if they wanted to raise the stakes, why not raise the action stakes here in the movie? Because honestly, the action scenes in this movie, although entertaining, got very repetitive. Again, going back to the first raid, the thing that made the action scenes so intense was not only how fast-paced it was, but how unique each and every action scene was. And it was not only the main character kicking ass, there were other characters that got the spotlight as well, like the lieutenant, Mad Dog. I mean, that guy was freaking cool. And there was also a scene at the end of the movie where there are three of them, an old guy, a somewhat young guy, and our main character just kicking ass in this room. That was really cool. In this movie, it's just like our main badass protagonist kicking ass and taking names. There is this one other character that does it, but he doesn't really stand out in the movie. In fact, what really shocked me is I really liked his story, and it's actually the same guy that played Mad Dog in the first movie. He comes back as this man who's estranged from his family, but he works with that crime family that the cop gets into. His story was interesting, but again, it doesn't really go anywhere. It would have been really nice to see some diversity from the action scenes, you know, really make them pop. And while on the subject of action scenes, as I mentioned earlier, they got really repetitive. I mean, really. One guy would come up and then boom, 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 knock him down. Then another guy would come, boom, 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 knock him down. Rinse and repeat throughout the entire movie. There were maybe 2 or maybe 3 moments where there were actually 2 guys on one person and they were fighting, but it rarely happened in the movie, and it didn't really last that long or wasn't that enticing. And there wasn't really that main foe that Rama could fight that was almost at his level. I mean, there was one nearing the end, but I really felt like he had the upper hand most of the time. I never felt like his life was ever in danger or that, you know, his skills were being put to the test, unlike when he fought Mad Dog, which was fucking insane. And honestly, if he didn't fight with his brother, he would have lost that battle. I never got that here in the sequel. It just felt like he walked through a scene and just like knocked everybody out in, you know, the end. And I'm not gonna lie, there wasn't a lot of character development in this movie for our main character and for all the other characters. There weren't a lot of standout characters in this movie. Yeah, the actors gave good performances, but none of them really stood out as characters. I mean, the one that kind of stood out is this one guy with shades and a cane. His name is Beho, I believe. He was pretty interesting from time to time. He was really smooth and calm, and he would only lose his cool sometimes, and he was kind of cool, but again, didn't really stand out that much. And it would have been awesome if they fleshed out Rama as a character here in the second movie. I mean, this guy has been through a lot of traumatic shit since the first raid, and it would have been nice to see how he was coping with it, how he was dealing with it, but they never really give it any focus, which really sucked and was a waste of potential. And yeah, I know the raid movies are focused more on the high-octane action, and you get that, but it would have been really good if they really focused on Rama as a character and made him more interesting and someone that we could really root for. Now, it seems like I'm just shitting all over this movie and that I didn't like anything about it, but on the contrary, I still really enjoyed a lot of elements in this movie. The action scenes are still well done, well choreographed, and are still exhilarating and fun to watch. I mean, that's why I love the Raid Redemption, and I did like the action scenes here in the sequel. It was really well done. The camera work, the cinematography, also really well done. The camera work was very inventive, very creative. I just love the way that they used the camera here in the sequel. And the acting was much better than it was in the first movie, so I give it props there. And that's why I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is definitely an enjoyable film, and if you're a fan of The Raid Redemption, you will have a lot of fun watching The Raid 2. But anyway, what did you guys think about this movie? Did you really enjoy it, or did you find it really disappointing and it let you down? And let me know, what is your favorite foreign martial arts film? Comment below and let me know. And stay tuned, I have a bunch of movie reviews coming your way. I hope to finish Golden Time by this weekend so I can make the review and have it ready for Tuesday. And I am working on a new video for We Live Film on my top 5 favorite Johnny Depp performances. So until then, guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Welcome to the Black Critic Guy. Like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Wilder II, the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.